How many people have things that they don't want to forget? They can't let it go.
I got you.
I'm going to let it go.
That's what we about to talk about right
now. There's only one way to let it go.
Yeah.
And that's through the Father, the
Son,
and the Holy Ghost.
Yep.
You can have the Father, you can have the Son. You need the Holy Ghost, you need them all three together. Then you can let it go.
You know, many times when you can't forgive somebody, you just stand in unforgiveness, and you're just holding on to that like, you know, you actually hurting them or something. And you ain't doing nothing to them. It's only you.
You hurt yourself.
This is what, like drinking poison and wishing the other person would die. That's what it's like. Yeah. You're only hurting yourself. You know, and the Lord is like, you know, I'll fight your battle. You just gotta let me do it. You know, and that's the problem. You know.
Even better, he already told us the battle is won.
That's right.
So we really fighting the battle he already won.
That's true.
Yeah. So that's even more foolish on our part when we get all involved in that entertainment.
Yeah.
We don't have to get involved in that.
Yeah.
Well, check this out. Well. Welcome to the Power Up Man Cave. Oh yeah, here we come. Here comes the tank tonight. We got some hot stuff tonight. We got all right, baby. This is gonna get it going right here, raw and uncut. Grab a seat, gentlemen. Y'all strap up, cause here we come. We gonna change it up tonight. We got my man.
Get it, Rambo.
We got my boy Stan Archer. We got my boy Dr. Joe Verdun. We coming here from a different light tonight because basically we talked about in that last episode of Unforgiveness, we said we're going to do a roundtable discussion, and that's exactly what we're going to do tonight. So basically, we're going to go over some clips that we had from some of the last segment in which we talked about unforgiveness. And once we go over those last segments, we'll get right back into the subject matter. Let's get it going. Unforgiveness is tied into a whole lot of hurt, anger, sickness, death, depression, all of those things.
Satan always wants to have something in common with us.
Yes.
And the Bible talks about not giving place to the enemy. So when we allow him a place, like say with unforgiveness, especially when it lasts for a long time, like years, we are giving place to the enemy. We're giving him an opportunity to torture us, because even in our souls, it creates, you know, these wounds, these places of torture.
All right, everybody, you seen what happened the last time we got into the unforgiveness piece, and again, this is I think is a very, very profound subject because it's the baseline for a lot of hurt, pain, and as well as relates to having actual physical illness due to holding things in. Basically, we want to get into it a little deeper as it relates to how to forgive, how to not harbor that unforgiveness. A lot of the things that go on, a lot of problems and issues that you see today come from that unforgiveness piece. And it actually can derail your life. And a lot of people never can get back on track from the damage that comes from the unforgiveness piece, man. I mean, you see a lot of people who kind of lose it and they can never recover. I'm gonna go extreme. I mean, a lot of times you have girls and ladies that get into the entertainment industry. A lot of people get into prostitution and get into heavy drug use and alcoholism and actually have a lot of mental illness that they can't recover from due to the unforgiveness piece.
That's right.
And not dealing with that. And you guys are welcome to jump in, man. We're just gonna bounce it off as anything, something popping up.
Well, I mean,
in your mind, throw it out there.
It ends up, I think we had talked earlier, but it ends up being, it's like a form of bondage that the enemy likes to use, you know, to keep you in that downtrodden place where you feel like, you know what, this whatever happened to me at that particular place or whatever, who did whatever to me,
right?
It's just so bad I cannot let it go.
Right.
It's just too much, you know. And that's just it. You know, the enemy just comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He wants to steal your peace.
Yeah.
He wants to take it right away from you, and that's exactly what's happening.
Yes.
And of course, I won't speak to this, but I know Doc, you know, at some point will speak in terms of the physical effects, you know, to holding on to all that unforgiveness, you know, but it's got it's got so many negative effects, you know, in terms of your, you know, spiritually, you know, emotionally, you know, your relationships. It just runs really deep by holding on to all that unforgiveness. Because honestly, how about this? Baggage, you know, you're walking around with baggage and stuff all the time and stuff, kind of hard to maintain relationships and stuff, because a lot of times you can be in that relationship and you're still carrying all that unforgiveness.
Yes.
You're going to dump it on that other person you're dealing with.
Right. That stuff came from a previous relationship.
That's right.
So from your perspective, being a single man right now, I mean, what do you find? I mean, what do you see in that as it relates to that?
Well, you're exactly right on that, and what we carry kind of develops who we are and who people get to see. The interesting thing, and I know Doc's better half sees it a lot, is that the enemy don't wait to try to attack us.
Right.
That bondage starts early, even before your last previous relationship or your last previous marriage. A lot of times as adults, we'll think about it relatively in a short time period, but we're really the byproduct of what we went through as children.
Yes.
And things that we haven't forgiven since we were kids. So when I mentioned Doc's wife, she talks to people all the time, and usually to find that key to help them, she has to take them back to their childhood. What have you been holding on to since you was a young kid that even now in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, you're still hanging on to that, that can't really allow you to flourish and be all God wants you to be, because you still haven't forgiven that moment or that person or that thing. So even being single now, when we're dealing with one another, one is being self-aware of things that you may be holding on to that you need to get past, so that you don't have somebody else bearing the weight of that because you're still holding on to it. But even for them, when you also seeing it, that might be a question in a conversation to have. Maybe something went on with them when they were younger. Maybe it was something that they dealt with that they hadn't felt like they were in a safe space to be able to get it out. And that's what our group been able to do as men, is be able to bring men together and say, hey, we understand you can't talk about everything with everyone. We want you to feel like in this circle you're comfortable to get it out. You don't have to be super macho, beating on your chest, keep it to yourself, and and blow up on the inside. Like, be able to blow up right here, and we gonna pray you through it, see you through it, keep you in that door. Cause we had that happen one time. One brother walked up because he got overwhelmed, and I don't know if he was with us for that one, but it was one of those sessions, and we went and we caught him. We brought him in. He had said nothing the whole time. He was just taking in everything that everybody was saying, and it was relating to him so much. He got so overwhelmed. We just saw tears, and he thought he had to go because he didn't know how to release. And when we brought him back in, he released it. I know he had to feel 1,000 pounds lighter. But it's that same feeling where it's like, as men, you carry this around, and you don't have to carry this around. You can let it out. Other brothers are going through similar situations, and it's not just you, even though it can feel like it's just you many times.
Well, that's the trick of the enemy. That's right. He wants to make you feel like it's just happening to you. He wants to single you out. He wants to alienate you. And he knows that there's power in coming together. There's power when you link together. There's power when you come together and hold hands as men in prayer. So what he wants to do, he wants to get you alienated. Hey, how do you deal with an enemy? You get them separated. What? First thing you do, you cut off the comms. I've said this before. You shut comms down. I'm prior Air Force. You guys probably already know. What we're going to do, first thing we're going to do to the enemy, we're going to come in, we're going to wipe out your communication. We're going to take out your comms, take out your towers, we're going to take out where you can't communicate to each other. That's what he does when you alienate. Because now you're not communicating, so now you have no base to fall back to. You have no security blanket. You have no network. So that's all a trick of the devil, man. And you know, that's real. I know, you know, it seems extreme, but it's real. It's going on every day. It's the real deal.
And on top of that, it's not just even the alienation and the isolation, which is key number one. Key number two is surrounding yourself around the wrong people with the wrong spirit to speak the wrong things to you and keep you even in a dark place or take you even darker. So it's two forms you got to look out for. You got to look out for feeling isolated, like it's just me, and getting into a corner where he can just speak to you and take advantage of you because you don't have any protection, so you feel. Right. Or if you surround yourself around the wrong kind of crowd, that only takes you further down that dark tunnel and you can't pull yourself out. Right. Wow. And see, that's what we've been able to kind of thrive off of, is when we was talking about earlier, have someone to call. Have the right person to call. Make sure you calling the people that can speak life into you, not death. You can speak death into people too, but you have to have those people that can speak life into you. And if they're not speaking life into you, majority of the time, I'm sorry to tell you this, family or friend, you gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. You can't carry them throughout your life, and they're gonna speak death into your life, speak down into your life. And you can easily discern that. It can be tough because it could be someone you really love, you care for, but pray for them. Yes. But at the same time, don't keep leaving your ear open to him when you're still growing to where he's trying to take you, until you're ready to go back as a soldier and bring them out of that dark place themselves. But while you're still crawling, you need all the people to help lift you as you can. So
protect those gates, your ear gate, your eye gates, your mouth. You got to protect those areas where you're taking that in information. Protect your gates. This is Dr. Joe Verdon. This is my best friend. This guy's been with me through thick and thin when I wasn't so popular to be friends with. What can this actually do to you as it relates to in the physical?
Well, first of all, I just feel blessed to be here to be able to express some of these points, and I'd like to thank you for inviting me to this talk show. I'd like to qualify a few things. Stan talked about, you know, things in your past that would come out. And, you know, my wife, that's her whole life. She's a child psych, adult psych, forensic psych, substance abuse psychiatrist, is board certified. So we went to medical school together. And so she's dealing with people's problems every day. And I'm sure through the 33 years we've been married, and 11 years before that we was friends, she's tried to analyze me on a regular basis. But she can't get through because I got that veil up. And now I realize that might have been one of my mistakes, not feeling insecure about telling somebody, because you feel like through all your experiences that if you let somebody in too far, they can use, because they know you, your weaknesses to bring you down. And many times in our relationships, we get involved and we find that the individual that we love sometimes use the things that we've told them, and they actually kind of like
they weaponize themselves with it.
And they weaponize against you. So they're using them against you. So I have unveiled a lot more in our Power Up Men, where men get together and pray. Because in a sense, it's like transactional analysis. This is when you go to a psychiatrist and they dig deep and try to find those things that happened to you, like what you're talking about, Stan, like early in your life or something like that, when you were traumatized. And we're talking about major trauma. We're talking about incest. We're talking about abuse. So when somebody disclosed to you some abuse that they've had in their life, then you feel very comfortable to say, I understand your unforgiveness. Because they have actually went through something that nobody should bear. Things that are abominations to God. And the more they get into religion, they begin to understand. So some people will actually, it's so devastating, the things that they went through, that neurologically in their brain, they put up barriers, blockades. And they don't even remember it. And if you talk to them about it, they can't tell you about it. You can give them a truth serum, but they blocked it out. Sometimes you don't block it out and it's there, and you always are dealing with it on a daily basis. Now, when you do that, there are certain neurotransmitters in your brain, and all these medications try to change that balance. whether it be something that blocks your serotonin or block your norepinephrine or block your dopamine. And this might not mean anything to you, but these are normal transmitters. Every time you move or think, you got some neurological activities going on. Let's say it's a neurotransmitter substrate like acetylcholine. And then you got neurotransmitter hormones that come even before that. Sympathetic neurological release causes things to happen within your vascular system, within your physical system. Like for instance, a sympathetic surge will cause your blood vessels to constrict. And if your blood vessels constrict, then you got hypertension. Now your heart got to beat harder in order to get the blood there. But it also caused your heart to beat faster. Now the cardiac output has went up substantially. Now you add that on to all the other things that happens in your life just being black. See, first of all, you don't have to do much to be stuck in this dilemma. The criteria and the prognosis of whether you're going to have hypertension is very simple. The 4 basic criteria is being black, being male, getting older, and it runs in your family. Now that just about include all the black men throughout the world. But black women are not left aside because they got 3 of the 4 criteria. Only thing they don't have is being male. And now they're throwing on a black woman's shoulder the responsibilities of being the head of the household, to being the breadwinner. They'll give a black woman a job before they do a black man. Now she got to provide for the family, which gives her even more stress. And then you add on all these burdens of unforgiveness that's associated with trauma and insult within their life. That unforgiveness affects them. And then when it affects them, then they carry it, and all that hypertension, much less diabetes and all other health issues, it leads to other problems as we get older. Not only are you mentally stressed, but you also are at increased risk of having hypertension that leads to kidney disease. So you can tell how many black people live in any community by how many dialysis centers they have. We're killing our kidneys by being stressed out about unforgiveness. What is that doing to me? Rising my blood pressure, making my heart beat bad. The little filters in your kidneys, they're just being banged up again. And and it's just like a oil filter. They're closing. And you don't even know it. You feel perfectly fine. But see, with your kidneys, you could have half of it gone. If you don't make me a kidney, because my kidneys are bad, then both of us do well on one kidney. So 50% of your kidneys, you got 2 of them could be gone, but they both going together. Half of the performance in each kidney, you don't even know. 60%, you still don't even know. But when about 80% of your kidneys is down, you collapse. And now you got all these toxins that your body can't get rid of. It all started from something that you had no control of. Some event, some trauma that your whole life you went through.
Wow.
So 80% of your kidney, now you need dialysis the rest of your life, or you need another kidney transplant. So it don't have to be some, autoimmune disease that can take out an organ. It could be your lifestyle and your thought process. And that's why we have to try to train ourselves to control our emotions. And we have to forgive. And if you don't start forgiving from the nidus of our existence. So when you got some undisclosed unforgiveness in your heart, you could try all the psychiatrists you want in the world, and they'll do all sorts of things to help you, give you all sorts of medication. A lot of people out there are on serotonin reuptake inhibitors like Zoloft and Paxil and Prozac. A lot of people are on the Haldol and the different types of neuroleptic medication that we take, Lexapro, etc., antidepressants, tricyclic antidepressants, etc., to try to get through day by day. But a lot of times, if you start off to the right at the foundation of our existence, if you try to forgive, and a lot of times, just like people on drugs, it's hard to beat it. But if you go to the nidus, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, then you can actually truly forgive. And then you don't have to block it anymore. You can accept it. You can think about it, and your heart rate don't go up.
Right, right. That's good stuff, man. See, so now we hear just how hypertension and unforgiveness can run up your blood pressure, which brings you into kidney failure, and it just goes on and on and on. And then we're not even going to talk about the side effects from once you start getting the prescriptions in order to counteract the problems that you're having with because of the hypertension, because of your blood vessels responding to the pressure that you're creating in yourself. Now you got to deal with the byproduct of all of the pharmaceuticals that you're getting as a result of the illness. So that opens up a whole another different can of worms. So that's basically, this is just what we said in the first episode.
We'll continue next week as we plow even deeper into the spiritual effects of unforgiveness.